Sharing the platform with us this Tuesday morning, the 28th of October 2025, is Mr. Ebrima Tabora Mane, leader of the People's Alliance Party. You've said the Gambia needs trustworthy leadership.
Yes.
What specific reforms would PAP introduce to promote transparency and accountability?
Again, we are not doing anything new. I mean,
You're not inventing the wheel.
We are not, inventing the wheel. I mean, these are things that have happened in places. I think Gambia, there are a lot of very decent people, very honest Gambians, very good people. That's why I said I'm challenging those who are educated, who are informed, and who are good, but tend to shy away from politics. Because if we don't, what would happen is that people who are not decent enough will be involved in politics, and sometimes they have ulterior motives. Mostly to enrich themselves. They tend to have dictatorial tendencies. I mean, they want to come and manage the country as if though it's their household. So, and I like Singapore a lot. I mentioned Singapore a lot. But in terms of quality, for a presidency, what do you need to look in a presidency? I mean, in this country, I believe there are thousands, or I can say tens of thousands of Gambians who can be eligible to be presidents, who are of good character and of good moral standing. If we don't have that then as a country, then we're doomed. I mean, they're very decent people, very honest people, but because they usually reserve themselves. I mean, you look at the former presidents in this country.
So the question is, what reforms will you introduce, all right, that will encourage these people who are standing, you know, on the sidelines because they think that, oh no, this is a dirty, you know, game, politics, and I don't want to be involved. So what reforms will you introduce that will encourage them to come?
Good
and
people.
Thereby, you know, the Gambia can now start to enjoy transparency and accountability of its governments.
Well, before you come, it will be difficult to tell people for them to understand because it's your word and what people will perceive. But I think those who will be selected, people should look at, should try to know a little bit about them in terms of their education. That is very important. I mean, it's not the only criteria in terms of...
You can be well educated, and yet your morals are highly questionable.
Absolutely. So education is one factor and not the only factor. And as far as I am concerned, it's not even the dominant factor. But you have to look at the person, whether they are trustworthy, whether they are honest. Can you trust them with your family? Can you trust them with your own personal funds? I mean, there must be people who you can, you know, look at their track records, look at their backgrounds, look at what they've gone through, and listen to their messages, see if it is consistent. That's why I said we challenge anyone to look from 2021 to date, since we ventured into politics, and listen to our messages and our programs, our meetings. I mean, it has always been the same. Because, I mean, we need good and decent people who have empathy, who have a vision, and their vision
these are the
should
type
not
of
be
people
blurred.
you have in PAP.
Oh yes. Okay. We have people who are not greedy. I mean, who are not self-centered. I mean, of course, anything that a person does in life, there is an element of interest, without a doubt. But the greater good, I mean, should supersede your individual interest. And when you talk, I believe, in fact, I always tell politicians that the Gambians are smarter than us. It doesn't matter where you hail from. You can be from, I mean, the top universities in the world.
Well, if Gambians were smarter than you, they wouldn't be electing every time the kind of government which for you is the wrong government for this country.
Exactly. That is because some of the people who have, that's why I said good people should join politics, because people who are decent and honest usually tend to shy away from politics. And then those who really have other motives, I mean, that will not be better. That would be detrimental to the country. Would be the only options. I mean, that's why you hear Gambians, very good people that I would talk to, very honest, intelligent, fair-minded. And if you talk to them, they'll tell you, okay, the options that I have, I'm not satisfied. For God's sake, we have 20 political parties. If people can look at all,
and we are not done yet.
Yes, we're not done yet.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we're not done yet. So if people can tell you, okay, there are 20 options, and I'm satisfied with none of them. So that tells you something. And we know that within the greater society, there are a lot of very decent people who can unify the country, who would work honestly for the country. And, you know, I always tell people, you know, if you take Gambians, for example, Today, if we said, okay, 2025, come December 2025, we will move all Gambians from the Gambia to either Singapore or to Sweden or to Switzerland. Switzerland, which is more like the Gambia, they have different tribes, if you may, because they have the Swiss, they have the German, they have the French, they have the Italian. So, and they're able to get along. So in the Gambia, it's just a similar thing. We speak different languages, but, those people, if they can get along.
Aren't we getting along?
Well, in terms of we are getting along, you see, it's politicians. That's why I always want to pronounce that and to make sure.
What are they doing to us? You people, what are you doing to
sometimes,
the rest of us?
Sometimes what we do is we send subliminal messages. Not directly, but you can tell that what they're inferring to.
Messages that are what, divisive?
That are divisive, oh yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And for me, personally, I blame my brother for that.
The people who do this, what do they stand to gain from it?
No, in fact, they are not tribalists. For people to understand, I have friends across all ethnic groups and across all political parties. In fact, none of them are tribalists. I've always told people, even Yahya Jammeh was not a tribalist. He was an opportunist. I mean, what he has done to his tribe, he has not done to any other tribe.
He may not have been tribalist, but some of his utterances drove division between tribes and created problems in communities.
No, it's an opportunist because he thought that that's one way of, maintaining his seat in power. Or sometimes politicians would think that that is one way to motivate, your base to get their support. So
let's move on to another, critical issue. Health.
Yes.
Incidentally, as soon as I finish with you, I'll be taking on the Minister of Health. What are PAP's plans to improve access to quality healthcare, especially in the rural areas?
I will share our manifesto with you guys. It's a 25 points manifesto. We can go through that in terms of the health sector. In fact, we've said that there has to be decentralization in this country, whether it's the economy, or whether it's the health sector, whether it is sports. I mean, if you travel across the country from here to the end of the URR, you'll find that for certain services that you would need, you must come to the Greater Banjul area. And because all opportunities are mostly centered around the Greater Banjul area, that is why we have a lot of rural migration. A lot of people would leave the rural areas and come to the urban areas, to the Greater Banjul area, and that has caused a lot of congestion. So what we've said is that there has to be, we have just about 7 or 8 regions if you look at the CRR, North and South. So there has to be major hospitals in all those regions so that you don't need to leave your region to come to another region for treatment. You must have also, clinics that can attend, that would not do, major operations, but that can take care of, sicknesses that are manageable in those areas. So definitely we will have hospitals across all regions. We will have clinics. That's also what we'll do, but we'll make sure that we have decent quality trained staff. And remuneration is also very important, even within the civil service. And across all sectors. So you have to pay people good salaries and forcefully try to stop corruption. That is what Singapore has done. If you look at their salaries, it's almost among the highest in the world. But what they have done is that to pay very good salaries so that you have no reason to steal. And then once you're involved in,
so you think all this
filthy lucre,
you think all this corruption is driven by poor salaries, poor wages?
No, it's a combination of both. There's what I would call a necessary evil. That is, I like to tease the police officers. If I am a police officer and I don't have fish money, I don't have the pants, and my wife, I know I have nothing. I'll tell my wife, okay, you wait. So I'll go across the street here, stop a driver and say, okay, you don't have a driver's license or a seat belt. I collect my 100 or 200. That is,
as I once encountered in the middle of the dry season.
Yes.
In the middle of dry season.
Yeah.
I said to my driver, I just saw wiper. And I said, wiper in the middle of the dry season.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what happens when we get to the rainy season? All right.
So that's a necessary evil.
Okay.
But what you have on top is like corruption, total greed. On the very top. It's like people are competing each other to amass. If you are a politician, or you are in government, let's say, from the president coming down, and you are a millionaire, unless you're only the president, but even with the president, a certain amount of money, you cannot be a millionaire. Being working
he
in
is
the
a
civil
millionaire.
service. Or a multi.
Based on his submission to the IEC.
You see, some things are common sense. We're all logical people. And, in 2017, the president's remuneration or his salary was barely 200,000. Okay, let's say now it's 500,000 a month. Even if it was 500,000 a month, then for a year, that's about 6 million. For 5 years, that is 30 million. So if you can, earn 30 million in 5 years, and you have to go for, a nomination to be re-elected, and one of your accounts has more than 200 million, then you're the smartest person in the world or in this country.
Could have been donations from friends.
Oh yeah, that's the way it is always timed. But I'll tell you, if you can do that,
would you like the IEC to be empowered to be able to ask, how the money that was declared was all made?
Oh yes, it should be. I think it should be. I think before you become the president, all your assets should be declared, and once you are the president, it would be better.
Well, that's okay. In the constitution that they are proposing, it's okay. As you come in, you declare your assets.
Assets, yes, exactly.
Now, it's when you're leaving now that you don't have to declare anything.
In fact, that's where that is where I was coming to. Before you become the president, it's good you declare your asset. And even if it is voluntary, I think it will be fair. Well, you may not want to do that, but it will be good, along the way before you, retire from the presidency, to also declare your assets, maybe every year or so. But when you leave office, you should, before and after. And I think your benefits and your packages should be based on that, because you have to justify how you've been able to amass such wealth. But common sense is that it's just practically not from donations, because before you become a president, nobody would donate anything to you. So anybody who would give you something would be a quid pro quo. You have done something for them. For them to give something back to you. Business people are too intelligent for that. They would not give anything for free.
It's an investment. Whatever they give you is an investment.
Oh yeah, and if they give you 5, know that they've made 25. Oh, well. They've made 5 times more.
Or ultimately, they'll make that 5.
Oh yes,
make them 25.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Internationally, how would a PAP government position the Gambia on the global stage, trade-wise, diplomatically, even on human rights issues?
Yes, I think our location is very good. It's an entry port. If you look at our proximity to Europe, this would have been a hub. In the region. If you look at, we should have a very good relation with Senegal, which I think is one-sided.
Don't we have good relations with Senegal?
Well, it's one-sided. It's one-sided from, when the former president in Senegal was there. It's to the advantage of Senegal. For me...
in terms of what, trade?
Everything. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. Before, during the former president, they used to get cashews from Casamance, from Guinea-Bissau to the Gambia.
Yes.
And the revenue that we used to make from the cashews was about $80 million of revenue from cashews. We have this timber that used to come from Senegal. Senegal is their business, how they manage their end. But that also, we used to make about close to $60 million or more than that. Sometimes they said close to $100 million in terms of timber trade, the revenue. That is forex in this country. Now, if we said that we are partners, you look at our ports. Our ports, unfortunately, has been crippled. And I believe from suggestions by our big brothers, Senegal. Now you look at that relationship, and what has happened is that Gambia's ports used to be, very profitable. People used to come from, within the region, as far as Cape Verde, Sierra Leone, Mali. Now, but what the former president did was that he wouldn't allow cashew nuts to come from Casamance to Ziguinchor to the Gambia.
That's Macky Sall, former president of Senegal.
Yes. So if we're brothers and we're supposed to be there for each other, so he's really trying to strangle our economy. So in terms of the timber also, it's not allowed to come to the Gambia. And even
they're accused of encouraging the illegal trade in timber.
They can control their country, but not what is in our country. If we have timber in the Gambia and it's a Gambian lorry, no one should have that right unless it's just the Gambia government. But no foreign
they were stopping
body. Oh yes, within the Gambia,
carrying our own timber within our own territory. They can't do that.
Well, they're coming inside our country and getting Gambians, I mean, who they said that, have done some wrong in their own country, they will come even inside Gambia. There's been reports about that.
They're accusing them of cutting wood in their own country. And presenting it as wood that was cut in the Gambia.
Well, if they allow the wood to pass their borders, once it's in Gambian territory, it's only in the Gambia and Senegal that will happen. I mean, once you cross a border and come to your country...
A PAP government wouldn't allow that to happen.
No, we will not. I mean, and then if you look at the ports, what has happened is that, these are things that you have to really understand. I mean, our ports was doing fine. I mean, we've increased our levies, our fees. And if you look at our sister country, I mean, Senegal, they managed to reduce their ports fees. So, I mean, the ports now, almost
Are you
all
saying
the goods...
they're trying to undercut us?
Oh, yes, they played us. They played us big time. And then what has happened is that they revived the ports in Zigansor, and they have these ports around close to Kaulak. So what is happening is they're trying to discourage this market. You see, politics is about, when it comes to international relations, they are no friends.
They're just trying to find ways of, boosting their economy. I mean, they're not
at our
coming
cost,
into...
at our detriment.
Well,
so, I mean, we have to definitely defend our economy and our security. And, I'm also a person who is jealous. I won't delve too much into the security issue, but I'm not even happy with the security arrangement.
What do you think about economic in this country?
Economic in this country. I think their time is long overdue. I mean, if we cannot reform our security sector for the past, 9 years, then I don't think the political will is there. And if I was a security officer, I will not be happy with what prevails in this country. I mean, how can you outsource, your security in the most sensitive areas, to those who are not, your nationals, especially when they are, your neighbors. You cannot do that. I mean, it shouldn't be done. I mean, if you go to our state house, it is known by non-Gambians than even our own brothers now. And in fact, our intelligence, our security, whether it is a military barracks, I think they have intelligence all over us. And that is normal. I can understand that. That is what they will do. What should we do? Now, turn the table around. Would we be allowed, as Gambians, to go to our neighbor's country and be within their center of power? No. Would we have access? In fact, you would dare not try to cross the border and arrest somebody across the border and say they've done something wrong in the Gambia. They won't even allow you to go even an inch in their territory. So it's one-sided, but like I'm saying, you said in globalization, we have to look at our advantages and what we do with other countries. It should be about interest. That is what all big powers do. You look at America, their relationship with countries within their country. They will say they will promote democracy, and human rights, and so that everybody has a good stake in the economy. But when it comes to their relation with other countries, it's primarily interest-driven. All these taxes that Donald Trump is saying, all these tariffs, is nothing. It's all about protection and interest. So we have to have very good relation with countries, all countries in the world. But the number one country that we must have the best relation with is Senegal, because we are inside Senegal. But then we have to know our interests. We have to protect our interests. And then we have very good
And you don't think this Barrow government knows our interest, is protecting our interests?
No, because it's like they've outsourced our interest to our competitors or our neighbors to decide our fate.
So how are you engaging young and first-time participants, young voters and first-time participants in the democratic process?
I think Gambians are going to be surprised in 2026. People, sometimes they don't understand. People would say that if you go to the rural areas, they usually vote wrongly because they're not informed, they don't know. And you go to the rural areas, you'll be surprised. They know as much as those in the urban areas. What they'll tell you is that, okay, you have political parties in this country, and they have very good messages. They want who can follow you, whether it's on the radios or in other places. But they said, most of them, they never come to us. So we feel like we are not counted. So if it is the incumbent or one opposition party that would come to us and tell us something, even by visiting us, we feel like at least they're building some relation. But, you can have the best message. But if you confine yourself only to the social media, or you confine yourself only to the greater Banjul area. And that could be strategic also, because others will tell you, okay, this is what matters, because this is the powerhouse. If you have KMC and West Coast, then you don't need to worry too much about the urban areas. But the urban people will tell you, the ones that we see are the ones that we're trying to, work with. So we've done a lot of, in fact, I think we've done more grassroots work than most political parties in this country. Only two parties might do a bit more than us, and that would be the NPP and the UDP. And we're definitely catching up with them.
And why do you think they're doing?
No.
More
When I mean more grassroots, is because one, they were there before us. I mean, they already have the name. People know about them. They've been recognized. But in terms of doing the groundwork, I mean, there's no political party now in the Gambia who is doing more groundwork than we are doing. And when we come in fact, November 20, I'll tell you, I've retired from my normal office work to concentrate in politics. I think before end of 25 to the first quarter of 26, people will be surprised. There's going to be lots of changes in this country, and the political situation will change. Even a week is
too long
in terms of politics.
Okay.
Yes.
I can understand why you said you wish we had more time. But in the final 3 minutes available for us in this conversation,
yes.
What would you like to add that we've not covered?
Well, like I said, I would want to come and share our manifesto with you,
sure.
And also our plan for the economy. What
we'll
we want
plan
to
it.
do
We'll
to
plan a
empower
2-hour window for you.
Oh yes, that would be good. We would definitely appreciate that. But what I am telling Gambians is that there is something that we should not waste our time and energy on, and that is divisive politics. I mean, rhetorics that don't make any sense. Because whether we like it or not, as Gambians, all of us, in this country, there will always be these diverse ethnic groups in this country. I mean, nobody can stop that. Nothing can stop that. So we must not listen to politicians like myself, who would try to divide us, because we're all united. And you will be surprised that, the relation we have, the commonalities that we have are far, far strong and more than the artificial differences that we have. If you look at, let's say, last names example, if you look at, I use Njai as an example. If you look at Njai is a Wolof. Njai is a Mandinka. Njai is a Serer. Njai is a Fula. Njai is a Sarahule. You'll be surprised.
Wow.
And I will tell you, you mentioned Gomez. Gomez is a Manjago. And the Gomez is a Mandinka. You'll be surprised. I know this guy who is Dabo, who is originally in Bacalar here, you can find out. He was from some 60 years ago. They said he was Gomez. But the people that he was with, and he was reading the Quran, his Quranic teacher was a Dabo. So he adopted the Dabo name, last name. All his children are now Dabo. Now I'm telling you.
There are Jobates that are Manjago. There are Dibas who are Manjago.
Yes.
Prominent people.
Yeah. And if you look at the Manes, there are Manes that are Balantas, there are Manes who are Mandinka, there are Manes who are Wolofs, there are Manes who are Jolas. So we must not allow, these superficial differences to surface. Yes, we must be proud of whatever race we are. That's what we want to encourage, or whatever tribe we are, but not to belittle each other, but not to allow politicians for their selfish interest. And it's mostly for the selfish interest of politicians. Besides that, let us believe in ourselves. Let us believe that we can make this country the best, in Africa. It is doable. Like I said, if we move all Gambians from the Gambia, end of 2025, and relocate them to, let's say, Switzerland, and you take the people from Switzerland and bring them to the Gambia, give it 5 years. And we will start migrating from Switzerland coming to the Gambia. So let us believe in ourselves. Let us be positive. Let us not give up on politics. And there are good politicians. There are some politicians that I will not even trust myself.
Okay.
But this is a good country.
Thankfully, you happen to be part of the good ones. Yeah. Ebrima Tabora Mane, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
la jàmm si Wave.
yow Ablaye yow lu tax doo dee dégg lu tax mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis hello
bësal mu fine.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave acts in Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, bësal mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.